One of the charge by the DMK was that you failed even to take care of your leader.
I really doubt that if Jayalalithaa, Tamil Nadu knows or the world knows, would permit someone to remain at home without even talking to that person.
Now the commission also raises a question whether the signatures were dubious or whether it's valid or invalid.
I would say this was more political.
It is also the failure of the governor office not to come out with the real facts about all those things. One of the reasons for the commission is Mr. OPS who started the Dharma Yuddham.
Why do you think the judge concurred with Sasikala initially, but later he found fault with?
I think it's going to be a very tough situation for Sasikala from now on.
You question the sincerity of the judge?
Definitely, because it's not only the case of the doctors, what went wrong, all those things. The office of governor was also monitoring the case of Jayalalithaa, because I remember when I was there to Apollo Hospital to collect news on this, I saw the convoy of C.H. Vidyasagar Rao, the then governor, at least twice he visited Jayalalithaa, the ailing Jayalalithaa. Maybe the governor could not have got access into the ICU unit where she was hospitalized. But
the governor had visited her twice. I think on the third instance he couldn't visit her. The governor had once visited, and there were also reports suggesting that she had showed thumbs up to the governor.
So what exactly the governor office was monitoring, or whether it is also the failure of the governor office not to come out with the real facts about all those things? Because if the governor office has monitored, or then why there is no mention about that in the report?
Another grey area in this report was the presence of the former vice president and the then union minister, Mr. Venkaiah Naidu. He was mostly available. In fact, in Apollo, Chennai and in Apollo. I would say at the behest of the union government, which was very concerned about the health of the Tamil Nadu, the late chief minister of Tamil Nadu. So that aspect, it still remains a grey area. The report or the commission never went into the aspect of the former union minister or the former vice president, Mr. Venkaiah Naidu. Camping in Tamil Nadu and governor. Continuously monitoring. He was closely monitoring. He was meticulously monitoring the health of Ms. Jayalalithaa.
Very true.
But that's another grey area which the commission had never ventured into. Why do you think don't you think that's a glaring lapse on the part of Mr.
Definitely,
Arumughaswamy?
because the time consumed by the commission, if you see, it's like more than 4.5 years. And for every once in 6 months, the commission deadline was extended. Though one of the reasons for the commission is Mr. OPS, who started the Dharma Yuddham. Even the OPS was investigated only at a very later stage. If you have to start with the inquiry, the first person should be the petitioner, who exactly wants this the mystery to be unraveled. So here in this particular investigation, as you said, first the president, the vice president, there is no mention about that. Then the second question is about what happened to the role of the governor office, because Vidyasagar Rao also met Madam Chief Minister twice. True. Then the third time. Then the most important thing, as you said, it is about the vice president. That is also not mentioned. This is also not mentioned. So I think these are like grey areas where the commission had failed to get into the details of this, because these are also big profile officials who are holding the office, public office. So they would have got some sort of details, some sort of inner details which the common man wouldn't have had access to. So all these things the commission, I think, had failed to bring it into the thing. Even the investigation of OPS, I think it started at a very, very later stage. It should have been the first person to be investigated into this particular episode.
But he was accused of repeatedly delaying his presence. He was repeatedly
but it is for the commission. It is for the commission to say that.
The commission sent summons, but he was accused of repeatedly delaying the process.
So okay, what now? The Justice Arumughaswamy should have reacted or responded on that. If somebody who wants an inquiry is evading a investigation, I think isn't it little fishy for us to think? Because
the same applies to Sasikala. If the judge was so convinced that there was some foul play or something suspicious which deserves an investigation against Sasikala, he could have summoned her and demanded her presence, which again is a question of law. I really wonder if he could demand that. because this Sasikala, this lady, she had only submitted and filed an affidavit. She never turned up before the commission.
Yeah.
She and the judge was okay. He consented to her filing an affidavit instead of her turning up or physically being present for examination or cross-examination. If the judge had so many doubts or enough, if he felt that there is enough to suspect foul play on the part of Sasikala, don't you think he could have insisted or insisted on her presence, physical presence at the time of examination or cross-examination, whatever? Why do you think the judge concurred with Sasikala initially, but later he found fault with? What do you think went wrong there?
These are completely grey areas which we are discussing now, because in any investigation, it has to be like completely a thorough sort of a probe followed by inquiries and facts and figures. In this case, I think, as you said, Madam Sasikala was not discussed, because she was first initial day she was in jail. Then even after, when she returned from the Parapana Agraharam, the kind of intensity that should have been there shown towards investigating Sasikala was missing. And the same question also applies to OPS.
So you question the sincerity of the judge?
Definitely, because see, I think it's not a criminal war, or it's not a genocide where it takes you to investigate some thousands of people, get into a war room, discuss about missile, things like that. This is a case of Chief Minister being hospitalized, and it has to be investigated. Okay, what went wrong? If there is a foul play, what next? For that, it has taken almost more than 4.5 years, I think. And
the intention or the objective of constituting the commission was to unravel the mystery, or if there is any, and the circumstances leading to hospitalization. But 5.5 years later, the judge says, the judge who invested so much time and on whom the government invested so many crores, after 5.5 years, he says there is more to be investigated.
Exactly.
And he insists on a fresh inquiry.
So 4.5 years is not enough. Finally, at the end of the day, even after the commission's report is being tabled in the assembly, finally it's becoming even a bigger, deepening issue, and it is leading to more political confusions. So now, when we say that the last thing
political confusions for who? Who do you think stands to gain or lose from this commission?
That's a very valid question, I would say, because I think it's going to be a very tough situation for Sasikala from now on, because right after the demise of Jayalalithaa, posters of Sasikala were torn, and they were like social media was uproar against Sasikala and her family members, and there was some sort of upbeat against that particular
public outrage
against that particular family. Then subsequently, we also saw OPS taking up the Dharma Yuddham and creating a factional feud in the party, and after that there were so many developments. Now again the commission is pointing its finger towards us, faulting with Sasikala. So I think this can be a easier record for a political party to campaign against Sasikala, because the mystery has not been unraveled, and there are several lack of transparency into it, because Sasikala was handling everything. If there is a mystery, she is accountable.
In your opinion, the report was more political than legal?
Definitely, I would say it's more political than legal, because if there is a legal terms and references with facts and figures into it, I think it could have come little earlier. It shouldn't have taken this much, because during the same period,
but that again was not the terms of reference of the commission. The commission was asked to, or the terms of reference for the commission was just to investigate the circumstances leading to the hospitalization and the subsequent treatment provided to her till the death.
Yeah.
So where does the question of probing the political background or the political foul play, if there is any, which I doubt, is it really necessary or warranted? Do you think the commission exceeded the brief and ventured into areas which it not have?
Yeah. Definitely, because justice delayed is denied. So in my view, first...
No, more than the question of justice, the political part or the political aspect of the report, which I believe was unwarranted. When you don't, if you may remember, there is a part in the report where the commission talks exhaustively about former Chief Minister, Mr. O. Pannirselvam, and the manner in which he conducted or organized the Dharma Yuddham and the motive. And I would say he even had some prejudices.
To conclude this particular episode, so finally this has come to a lot of a political puzzle related to Madam Jayalalithaa, and now who is going to gain what, as we discussed some time back. Not only the commission, even the former Chief Minister O. Paneerselvam, who initially demanded the probe, later said there were doubts in the minds of public, so I succumbed to the pressure demanding and I raised it. So I personally believe that there is no foul play. So this is how it has been. So I think our viewers will take their own decision by going through all these analysis, whatever we have been discussed. So it's pleasure in meeting you. So we will meet soon on a next special episode on politics. Thank you.